In this, we are into non-co-channel interference. In this, we have seen the adjacent channel interference, near and far end interference, and crosstalk. Today, we will be seeing the effect on coverage and interference by power decrease, antenna height decrease, and the effect of cell side components. These are the two important topics we will be seeing today. What are those? Effect on coverage and interference by power decrease, antenna height decrease, and effect of cell side components. These are the two topics we will be seeing today. So we have seen the crosstalk. So what is the crosstalk? Crosstalk is nothing but communication between forward voice channel and reverse voice channel. So we have seen the crosstalk. So apart from crosstalk, yes, today we will start the new topic, effect on coverage and interference by applying power decrease, antenna height decrease, beam tilting. So communication engineers sometimes encounter situation where coverage must be reduced to compensate for interference. So we need to compensate for the coverage to reduce the interference. There are several ways of doing this. So we can reorient the directional antenna pattern. We can change the antenna beam width, or we can synthesize the antenna pattern, which we have already discussed in chapter 6. So there are two additional methods, decreasing the power and decreasing the antenna height. These are the two additional techniques which reduce the compensation for interference, which will reduce the interference. What are those? Decreasing the power and decreasing the antenna height. This will compensate for the interference. Both methods are effective and engineers often have difficulty choosing between them. Which one is better? The answer is dependent on the situation. So we had to choose a proper cell site. For this to happen, we had to choose a proper cell site. So given a fixed transmitted power and a cell site antenna height, the coverage contour of a cell site for different signal reception levels can be obtained from either the measurement or from the prediction model. So a typical contour is shown in figure. So we will see the typical contour. Because of the irregular terrain contour between different reception levels are not equally spaced. Contour is nothing but boundary. Contour is nothing but boundary. So because of the irregular geographical boundaries, contours between different reception levels are not equally spaced. They are not equally spaced. So this is one boundary. So we have antenna height H1 as 100 feet and H1 dash as 150 feet. So for H1 100 feet, for 100 H1 feet, this is the contour. This is the contour. Whereas for 100 H1 dash 150 feet, this is the contour. This is the contour. So this is for minus 100 dBm and this is also for minus 100 dBm. So as you can see, the antenna height has different effects. It has got different effects. So choosing a proper cell site. When a cell site is selected, we must determine whether an ultra high frequency TV station is nearby. So we have to make sure that whether there is a ultra high frequency TV station nearby, and whether any future nearby going construction would affect signal coverage from the cell site. We must check the local noise level and be sure that no spurious signals falls in the cellular frequency band. So finally, we are using an existing multi-antenna tower. We must ensure that grounding and shielding are adequate. So we must also make sure that the grounding and shielding are adequate. Otherwise, the interference level could become very high. If the grounding and shieldings are not adequate, the interference level could become very high and weaken cell site operation. Sometimes a special isolator may be provided if an AM broadcasting antenna is located on the same tower. So we must provide a special isolator. So now coming to power decrease. As long as the setup of the antenna configuration at the cell site remains the same, and if the cell site transmitted power is decreased, so if the cell site transmitted power is decreased by 3 dB, then the reception at the mobile unit is also decreased by 3 dB. So power decrease is nothing but if we decrease the power at the cell transmitted power, the reception power will also be decreased by 3 dB. So this is nothing but power decrease. There is one-on-one correspondence and that's easy to control. So power decrease is easy to control. Now coming to effect of cell site components. There are different cell site components are there. Cell site components such as channel combiner, frequency agile combiner, ring combiner, demultiplexer, SAT, supervisory audio tones. So these are the different cell site components. These are the different cell site components. So we will be seeing one by one. So first one is channel combiner. A channel combiner is installed at each cell site. We can eliminate the channel combiner by letting each channel feed to its own antenna. Then a 16 channel site will have 16 antennas per operation. It is an economical and a physical constraint. If conventional combiner has 16 channel combined capacity, it has a 16 channel combined capacity based on the frequency subset of 16 channels. The signal isolation is 17 dB because of each channel is 630 kilohertz or 21 channels apart. The intermodulation at the multiplexer is controlled by ferrite isolator, which provide a 30 dB reverse loss. So the ferrite isolator will provide a 30 dB reverse loss, and the intermodulation product are at least 55 dB down from the desired signal. So each cable fed into the combiner must be properly shielded. A proper shielding and impedance match are very important. So this is a fixed tune combiner. As you can see, the isolation between the channels is 18 dB. Isolation between the channels is 18 dB. From here to here it is 18 dB. From here to here it is 18 dB. So these are the power amplifiers, and the reflected power is minus 30 dB. And the insertion loss will be 3 dB. There will be an insertion loss of 3 dB. And there will be 0.5 dB loss in the band pass filter. So this is the channel multiplexer or combiner. Channel multiplexer or combiner. So there will be isolation of 18 dB. So this is a fixed tune combiner. Next one is frequency agile combiner. So this combiner is capable of returning to any frequency by remote control in real time. So there will be a remote control. So it will return to any frequency in real time. The remote control device is a microprocessor. So the remote control device in frequency agile combiner. So this is the frequency agile combiner. So we have radio frame, we have controller, and we have motor. So the motor will rotate and fix to the tuning bar in the waveguide. It will fix to the tuning bar in waveguide. So we have voltage standing wave ratio meter here, VSWR meter. So this will be controlled by a microprocessor. This will be controlled by a microprocessor. The motor will rotate and fix to a particular frequency. So the remote control device is a microprocessor. The combiner is a waveguide resonator combining with a tuning bar in each input waveguide. The bar is mechanically rotated by a motor, and the voltage standing wave ratio can be measured when the motor starts to turn. So the voltage standing wave ratio can be measured when the motor starts to turn. The controller receives an optimum reading after a full turn and is stopped at the position by the controller. So this is a frequency agile combiner. Now we have a ring combiner. A ring combiner is used to combine two groups of channels into a single output. So we will have two groups of channels. So we have 16 channels here. So we have 16 channel here, one 16 channel here, one 16 channel here. Both these 16 channel and 16 channel are combined to form 32 channels. They are combined to form a 32 channels. So a ring combiner is used to combine two groups of channels into a single output. The insertion loss is 3 dB and the signal isolation between channel is 35 to 40 dB. The function of a ring combiner is to combine two 16 channel combiners into one 32 channel output. If all the channels transmitted power are low, it is possible to combine more than 32 channels by using 2 or 3 ring combiners before feeding them into one transmitting antenna. So this is nothing but a ring combiner. So we can combine two 16 channels to form a 32 channel So under the topic effect of cell side components, we will see demultiplexer at the receiving end. So a demultiplexer is used to receive 16 channels from one antenna. So it is used to receive 16 channels. So this is a demultiplexer. It is used to receive 16 channels from one. The demultiplexer is used to receive 16 channels from one antenna. The demultiplexer is a filter bank. The demultiplexer is a filter bank. Each receiving antenna output passes through a 25 dB gain amplifier to a demultiplexer. The demultiplexer output has a 12 dB loss from the split of 16 channels. So split loss is given by 10 log 16 because there are 16 channels are there. So 10 log 16, which will be 12 dB. The IM product at the output of the demultiplexer should be 65 dB down. So the intermodulation product at the output of the demultiplexer should be 65 dB down. It has a 55 dB rejection from the other system band. It has a 55 dB rejection from the other system band. So we have a typical cell side channel receiver. We have a preamplifier here. So this is a demultiplexer 16:1. So we will get one output. So this is a block A or block B band filter. So we have a mixer here, 45 megahertz. Then we have preamplifier here, followed by mixer B, which is 1.8 megahertz. Then we have preamplifier followed by a filter here, so which is a 30 kilohertz. Then we have diversity combiner. So this is a typical cell side channel receiver. This is a typical cell side channel receiver. Now next one is supervisory audio tone, SAT, supervisory audio tone. So the major function of supervisory audio tone is to ensure that a supervisory audio tone is sent out at the cell site. So when it is sent out at the cell site, it is received by the mobile unit on forward voice channel. So it will be received by the mobile unit on the forward voice channel, and it is converted on a corresponding reverse voice channel. So it is converted in a corresponding reverse voice channel and is sent back to the cell site within 5 seconds. So within 5 seconds, it has to be sent back. It has to be sent back within 5 seconds. If the timeout is more than 5 seconds, the cell site will terminate the call. So if the timeout is more than 5 seconds, the cell site will terminate the call. So every site has been assigned to one of three supervisory audio tones. The assignment of three supervisory audio tones in a system is shown in figure. So this is the supervisory audio tone. So we have F1, F1, F1. So this is assigned to SAT1, SAT2, SAT3. These are the supervisory audio tones. So they have to respond within 5 seconds. If it is not responding in 5 seconds, it will be terminated. It will be terminated. So we have supervisory audio tone F1 here, SAT1. We have SAT3 here. And the distance between them will be root 3D. The cells have the same SAT tones and the same channels are separated by root 3D. Characteristics of SAT, supervisory audio tone. There are three SAT tones are there. SAT tones are there. One is 5970 hertz, another one is 6000 hertz, and another one is 6030 hertz, which are spaced by 30 hertz apart. They are spaced by 30 hertz apart. They are narrow band frequency modulation with a deviation of f delta 2 kilohertz, and the frequency modulation index is 1 by 3. Let the SAT tone signal be xt equal to am cos omega mt. So this is the SAT tone signal or the message signal. And the modulated carrier is xct is AC cos omega ct plus beta sin omega mt, where beta is am f delta by fm. Since beta is small, equation 772, this equation 772 becomes xct is AC cos omega ct plus AC beta by 2 cos 2 pi fc fm t minus AC beta by 2 cos 2 pi fc fm t, which is equal to RT cos omega ct plus phi t. RT is given by this equation. RT is given by this equation and phi t is given by this equation, which is equal to beta sin omega mt. So when we draw the phasor diagram, so we will have RT here, we will have beta AC by 2 here, beta AC by 2 here. This is FM, and phi t is the angle between them, and AC is the magnitude. AC is this magnitude, carrier magnitude. So the phasor diagram for beta less than 1 is shown in equation 774. So this is 774. So for beta less than 1, this is the equation. RT is AC into 1 plus beta square by 4 minus beta square by 4 cos 2 omega mt. This means that the amplitude has no information content. So the point to get out of this is the important point to make out of this is that the amplitude has no information content. The amplitude has no information content. This is a very common consideration in the mobile radio environment because of the severe fading which distorts the constant amplitude. Now coming to interference between systems. Interference between systems. So in one city, so interference in one city and two cities we will see. Interference in one city and adjacent cities. We will see that. So interference in one city. let us assume that there are two systems operating in one city or one MSA, metropolitan statistical area. So if a mobile unit of A, so if mobile unit A, this is mobile unit A, is closer to a cell site of system B, so this mobile unit, so this mobile unit is closest to the system B, it is closer to the system B. This is cell site B and this is mobile unit A. So mobile unit A is closer to cell site B. While a call is being initiated through the system A, adjacent interference or IM can be produced if the transmitted frequency of mobile unit A is close to the cover band of the received preamplifier at cell site B. So there will be an interference. There will be an interference between the mobile unit A and the cell site, and also mobile unit B and cell site. There will be an interference, and it can lead to intermodulation between the two systems. It can lead to intermodulation. This intermodulation product will then leak into the receiving channel of system B and crosstalk will occur. So this intermodulation product will leak into the receiving channel of system B and it can lead to crosstalk. It can lead to crosstalk. So this is the CGSA, means cellular geographic service area. This is cellular geographic service area system. They are interfering with each other. They are interfering with each other. This is cell site A and this is cell site B. Both will interfere with each other. So this is in one geographic area. This crosstalk can be heard not only at the landline but also at the mobile unit because of unique characteristics. This crosstalk situation can be reduced by any of the following measures. So in order to reduce the crosstalk, any of the following measures can be done. So all the cell site in the two systems can be located together. So all the systems first factor to reduce the crosstalk is we will have a cell site in the two systems can be located together. Means it should be co-located. Second one is adjacent channel at each interface of the new allocated voice channel between two of the systems should not be used. So adjacent channels should not be used. Next one is to prevent a strong mobile signal from saturating the preamplifier at the cell site. A foreign system signal should be minus 55 dBm down from the cell site reception point. So there should be a minus 55 dBm separation between the foreign system and the cell site reception. There should be a minus 55 dB separation between a foreign system and the cell site reception point. Now coming to interference between systems in adjacent cities. So two systems operating at the same frequency band and in two adjacent cities or areas may interfere with each other if they do not coordinate with their frequency channel. Most cases of interference are due to cell site at high altitude. Because of the cell site at high altitude, these are at high altitude, the interference may occur. The interference may occur between these channels and these channels, between this antenna system and with this antenna system. Interference may occur. In any startup system, the high altitude cell site is always attractive to the designer. So if the neighboring city also uses the same system block, then the result is strong interference, which can be avoided by the following methods. What are the methods to avoid the interference? The operating frequency should be coordinated between the two cities. So the first point is the operating frequency should be coordinated between the two cities. Second point is if both systems are high capacity, then decreasing the antenna height will result in reduction of the interference, not only within the each system but also between the two systems. And the third one is Directional antennas may be used. So these are the 3 points which should reduce the interference between the adjacent cities. Now coming to ultra high frequency TV interference. Two types of interference can occur between ultra high frequency television and 850 megahertz cellular mobile phones. So interference to ultra high frequency TV receiver from cellular mobile transmitter. So because of the wide frequency separation between cellular phone and the media broadcast services and the significant high power levels used by the ultra high frequency TV broadcaster transmitter, the likelihood of interference from cellular phone transmission effect in broadcasting is very small. So there is a slight probability when the cell side transmission is 90 megahertz above and that of a TV channel. It can interfere with the image response frequency of typical home TV receiver. Interference between TV and cellular mobile channel is illustrated. So this is the interference between ultra high frequency TV band and the cellular system and the cellular telephone mobile system. So this is the ultra high frequency TV band. So we have channel 69, 68, 67, 66, 65. So from 780 to 800, it will interfere with the cellular telephone mobile transmit band. It will interfere with the cellular telephone mobile transmit band. So some ultra high frequency TV channels overlap cellular mobile channels. These two types of services can interfere with each other only under the following conditions. First one is band region with overlapping frequencies. So there will be a band region. So these are the band regions with overlapping frequencies. First one. Second one is image interference regions. So there will be an image interference region. Means intermodulation product will result into interference. Image intermodulation product will result into image interference. So with this, unit 2 is completed. Do you have any questions? With this, unit 2 is completed. I'll be starting unit 3 in the next class. So I will be following the notes. I will not follow the PPTs. I will not follow the PPTs. I'll follow the notes. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Do you have any questions? Yes, do you have any questions? Say yes or no. Please answer me in the chat box. Okay, if you don't have any questions, I will conclude the class today and I will share the PPT, this PPT. With this, 2 units are completed and I will start the unit 3 and it will be, I'll show the unit 3. This will be unit 3. This will be unit 3. So we will have signal reflection in flat and hilly terrain, effect of human-made structures, phase difference between direct and reflected path, constant standard deviation, straight line path loss flow, general formula for mobile propagation over water and flat open area, near and long distance propagation, path loss from point to point prediction model in different conditions, and merits of Lee model. These are the topics of unit 3 first half. So I will be covering from the PPT. There are 29 PPT slides are there. So it is a notes. It is generally a note. So I am not preparing the PPTs. I will follow from these notes only. Do you have any problems with this? This notes complete covers the complete topic. This notes covers the complete topic. So I will be following the notes. Do you have any objections to this? Instead of PPT, preparing PPT is taking a lot of time. So instead of preparing the PPT, I will teach from this from this PDF. I will teach from this PDF. Okay. I'll share this PDF also with you. So this topic cover the third unit first half. So it will cover the third unit first half. So complete topic is there in this notes. Okay. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. If you don't have doubts, I will close the class now. You don't have doubts? Okay, I will close the class now. Thank you very much.